Alright, guys, so this is another fanfiction idea that was voted on over on my Patreon. Um, and as always, if you guys would like to be part of those Patreon polls, just hit the link in the description box below, head on over there, hit the first tier, that'll allow you access to do so. As well as check out episode and movie reviews that are going to be over there exclusively as well. But other than that, yeah, let's get started. So this is technically a crossover, although I don't know if you could count these works as full thing, because they are public domain, but whatever. So I've been putting out a lot of like horror crossover polls. That's how we've been getting like the Randy Cunningham one. That's how I did the Superman and Batman one. And this is Courage the Cowardly Dog. And this one, I'm actually glad this was the winner. This could actually work more as a episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Courage the Cowardly Dog being treated to the works of Edgar Allan Poe. So without further ado, let's get started with the video. So the story begins in just a late night in the little farm in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, and Courage and everyone's just enjoying the TV. You know, Eustace is reading his newspaper and all that, and then they hear a knock at the door. Well, obviously Courage is like, "Oh no, here we go again." Immediately, like, whenever there's a knock at the door at this late hour, there's nothing good. So Miriam is like, all right, I'll get the door. Could be some stranger or something. And opens the door. It's Katz, dressed in like a formal wear and dressed as a traveling salesman. And he's like, good evening, madam. I am Katz, just a mere book salesman, going door to door selling classic literature to the uninitiated. Of course, Eustace is like, we don't want any. And, of course, Courage knows who this is, so he's immediately freaking out. Like, he's like, but Miriam's like, oh, I do love the classic literature. What do you have? Oh, I have all the classics. Dracula, Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But my personal favorite are the readings of Edgar Allan Poe. A genius in his own time, madam. Here, if you would permit me into your home, I would be willing to read you some stories of the classic of Poe's classic work. It is October after all, and everyone deserves a good scare. And of course, Courage at this point is like, no. And Miriam's like, oh, I would love a good ghost story. Come in and I'll make you some tea. So Eustace is like, whatever, I ain't listening. So of course, Katz comes in and he looks at Courage and is like, I think you'll find these stories quite realistic, dog. And of course, Courage is screaming at this point. But he can't convince Miriam to leave or whatever. And so Katz gets in front of the TV and all that. And of course, Eustace is like, yeah, wait, you're blocking the TV. He's reading his newspaper. And of course, Katz is like, thank you one and all for enjoying for tonight's reading. We'll start with something easy. The Raven. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary. And as he's like reading the story, Eustace, Miriam, and Courage all start to feel like woozy and dizzy, and they're just like kind of like getting like they're just feeling like sleepy. So eventually they all just collapse on the floor, and while they're all listening to Katz keep reading the story, as he's like continuing to read, that's when suddenly Courage is the first one to wake up, and he's like, what? And he's in this old dark house, this like dark creepy house, and he can't find Eustace or Miriam or Eustace, and he's just looking around and he goes, something's weird's going on, and my name's not Roger Corman, and it's not. So he's looking around the room, and then he hears a bang on the door, and he's like, woo! Goes to open it, darkness there, and nothing more. So slams the door. Courage immediately is piecing together slowly piecing together what's going on in the story, and then he hears a banging at the window, and he's like, oh, I know I shouldn't, but I know I'm gonna. Opens the window. In flies a raven, and Courage is like, oh no, I know what's going on, and I hate it. So he's like, So, do you know where Eustace and Miriam are? Nevermore. Oh, I knew you were going to say that. Tell me where Eustace and Miriam are. What did cats do with them? Nevermore. Listen, pal, I've just about had enough of you and your one word, so you either tell me what you did with my owners, or so help me, I'll come out there, and the only thing you'll ever say is, ouch! Nevermore. Ooh, that's it! So, Courage proceeds to try to jump and grab at the Raven. Raven keeps flying around, dodging him, mocking him. Nevermore! Muriel and Eustace are nevermore! So, Bird comes flying in, starts pecking at him. Courage tumbles out the window that he let the Raven in, and falls into internal darkness, screaming all the way until he lands on a slab, a metal slab. And of course, he hits face first and is just like, so then he realizes he gets strapped down immediately, and he's in the pit. He is in the pit in the pendulum. He sees the pendulum swinging down, and he looks down and sees just a giant pit. So that's when Katz reveals himself as the executioner. You're about to enter hell, dog. Hell! And Courage is trying to fight to get out. He eventually does escape and actually uses the pendulum to climb back up, and he finds himself in another story. He finds himself in the cast of Amontillado, where he sees Miriam being blocked up, and she's like, "Oh my, this is so. I'm glad I'm not a claustrophobic." So Courage goes to save her as she's being walled up, but of course, the guy Fortunato is just not Fortunato. That was the guy in the other one, but the guy putting him up and claiming Miriam as Fortunato is trying to keep Courage from putting the bricks in. So what happens next is that Courage just grabs one of the bricks and bashes the guy in the bonks the guy in the head, make him go just stupid, collapses. Grabs Miriam, pulls her out, and then she's like, "Where's Eustace? We have to find Eustace." Courage is just like, okay. So they proceed to go through the stories as they hear Katz's voice telling different stories. So they have to go through other work like Annabelle Lee and other of his dark gothic stories, and eventually they do find Eustace in the story of the Black Cat. And in here, the Black Cat is just terrifying Eustace. He's just freaking out and things like that until the Black Cat turns into Cats, and he's just none of you are leaving these stories. You have no appreciation for literature, and you will be reliving the works of Poe for the rest of your lives. And he's just reading from the book again until Courage just grabs a wooden plank and just starts bashing Cats in the head, and they both fight over the book. Eventually, Katz gets control of it, and he actually just kills all three of them. He legit kills all three of them, and he's just laughing, wallowing in his crapulence, just I did it! I actually did it! I killed that stupid dog and his dumb owners! I win! And then he's just laughing to himself, and he hears a knock at the door, and he's like, what's going on here? So he opens the door, and there's cops there, and they're just like, "We heard a disturbance, sir. What seems to be the problem?" And he's like, oh, it's nothing. I had a nightmare or something. And so he sits down, and he's talking to them, and he keeps hearing this thump under the boards. And he's just like, "What is that infernal thumping?" He's trying to get the cops to leave, and then he just freaks out. He's like, "Here, I did it. I killed that dog and his owners. They're under the floor." Oh no, he realizes that Courage got the book and was reading A Telltale Heart, and he was trapped in it. And he's just like, no, I can't. And then Courage just slams the book shut because he got them out of there. And he just is like, what do I do? Nothing beats a good book, but this sometimes is a bad one. And just chucks it into a nearby fire, trapping Cats in the book. So by the end of it, Courage is just kind of all curled up on Miriam's lap as they're just enjoying the night. it's bedtime now, and Miriam's just kind of like they're both chilling in bed. But as Courage is like falling asleep, he sees something sitting on the outside the window on the tree outside the bedroom window. The raven is there, and it's just like Nevermore, and flies off, leading Courage just go, ah! This shouldn't happen to a dog. And just covers himself with the covers. So there you go, guys. That is Courage the Cowardly Dog in a story I call Nevermore. Let me know what you guys thought of it. Did you guys like it, hate it? Comment below, let me know. And once again, I'd like to thank everyone who voted on Patreon, on the Patreon poll for this one to win. Other than that, yeah. Hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.